The story begins with our MC confessing his feeling to his crush, and you guess it right, she rejected him. Well, it's not like she doesn't like him, she likes how nice and kind he is, and how funny and nice he is to others. But you know right, that's what her answer was. Next we see a good-looking guy who was waiting for our MC, and he notices from the aura surrounding around our MC that he got rejected. As a good friend, he comforts his friend. Our MC, Siwoo, informs him the reason she rejected him. She told him that she wants to focus on her studies. Then suddenly a ball comes flying at them. Siwoo grabs it without even blinking his eyes, as if he felt it coming right at them. This tells us that his reflexes is not that of a normal person, and he doesn't know why he is like this. Even his friend also thinks that his fatness is a biggest mystery of his life, because he is not just some weak-ass MC who is fat and got bullied all his life, but never thought of going to the gym. But our boy Siwoo here, he is a goat. To lose his fat, he did all sort of exercise, even sacrifice his favorite foods. If people in this world only follows half of what he does, then there wouldn't be anyone gaining weight in this world. And he even went to the hospital and they told him that it's genetics. But he doesn't think like that because his father, you can just see right in the picture of his parents, it doesn't look like a genetics. They both are lean, slim and trim. His mother is called natural beauty by others even when she was young and now, too. But he has never seen his father or met him. But he heard a lot about him. His father was an incredibly famous SIRM athlete. Although he had a short career, his father's record and strength were simply overwhelming. And his mother always tells him that he has a body type that would gain muscle just by breathing. And he is fed up with his strict diet. And this diet, it doesn't even work. And today, he is so angry because a girl rejected him, he gets ready to cheat on his diet. But no, our boy is a man of principle. He goes back to the same old tasteless salad. Next morning, wait, is it a morning or an evening? Whatever, our boy has already covered 4 kilometers of distance. And today, he is at faster pace than his average record. He remembers his crush who rejected him, and didn't notice that he has broke his personal record. He has covered 15 kilometers of distance. He unwittingly ran too much. It's the side effect of rejection and breakup. He gets confused because the place he is right now, he has never seen it, it's his first time there. He gets ready to turn on his map to make sure where is he right now. Then he hears a voice. Suddenly a man appears on the bridge and starts to spout nonsense about his bloodline and all. The man jumps from the bridge and falls in front of him. Like a good boy, he asks the Gramps if he is alright, because falling from that height, people usually die. The old Gramps introduces himself and his name is Grandpa Bogeman. And he has a role of judge, responsible for overseeing the monsters of the peninsula. And after seeing Siwoo, the Gramps notices that Siwoo doesn't know anything. He gets ready to take Siwoo with him, that way it will be easier to explain him. He takes out a big piece of cloth that wrapped Siwoo, throws him somewhere. The scene he saw before his eyes, he gets shocked to see it. There are 2 moons there, and it's a monster world, not his Earth. Everywhere his eyes follows, he sees monsters everywhere. These monsters were feared by humans once, and some humans even called them gods. But now they are known as just a mere superstitions and phantoms. Gramps informs him that once every 666 years, there's a great festival held to choose the king of monsters. And every members of the monster families that exist all over the world selects a young, talented monster to present as a candidate. 666 years ago, a monster towered them as their king. And as 66 years have passed now, they are going to select another new king. Siwoo stops the old man from saying anything. He understood what the old man was telling him, but he is confused about what the heck is he there for. Old man then informs him that he is one of the candidates. He is the only one who has inherited the blood of the goblin. This news hits him real hard, like what the hell, he is a monster and a goblin at that. A goblin? Old man also informs him that he is not a pure goblin but a mixed. Well, his mother is a human, that's for sure. That means his father is a goblin. But his father didn't have that green color on his, if I remember the picture correctly. He tries to correct the misunderstanding because he is sure that he is not a goblin. Suddenly a monster jumps from the crowd and lands in front of him. And that monster came in front of him because they are going to see whether Siwoo is completely useless or not. And that is why they are giving him a test. A test to fight with that monster in front of him. If the monster wins, the monster can eat Siwoo. And the name of the monster is Giant Mouth Goblin. The monster gets ready to start the test and kicks Siwoo. The kick sends him flying far away and slams on the ground. Even though he has inherited the blood of the goblins, but he has to prove his worth to have the right to participate in the festival. The monster picks him up again and slams him on the ground. And the monster is surprised because Siwoo is more sturdier than he looks. He survived that kicked, and now this throw. But he gets ready to finish him up with the next move. The monster slams its giant hand on Siwoo's tiny body. But then the monster notices something. His hand hasn't touched the ground. Our boy has blocked that giant's hand. Then we are told that since the ancient time, The abilities goblins had, it was the exact definition of infinite. But when it's all said and done, their most representative ability and weapon was the play they enjoyed. And if you are a goblin, you have a talent where your body's imprinted with an instinct without being taught from someone else. The goblin Siren. He flung the giant monster with his tiny body, and slams the monster on the ground even shattered due to the effect of the fall of that giant monster. Then his species changes from human to half-goblin. That family pack of his has turned to 6-pack abs. No wait, it's 8-pack abs. His awakening has completed. Next, Siwoo is informing his friend about his weird dream, fighting with giant monster, and he was ripped. And the dream felt so real. Even it was a dream, he felt his muscular body as if it was real. He thinks it doesn't make sense for his body to suddenly become muscular, but it did. Gramps then comes with a beautiful girl, saying, so you come back to your senses. You fell asleep while standing. It makes Siwoo even more confused, because he just dreamt of a dream, where he was talking to his friend about a dream where he defeated a monster. And that was a dream. Now he is back to reality where he has muscular body. Then he gets freak out, all sorts of thoughts start to run through his mind. And what is going to happen to him? Gramps then asks the girl, what will you do? It's her first time seeing a half-human and she is little disappointed, and is having her doubts if Siwoo really have a goblin's blood. But Gramps is sure that she saw the fight earlier, but she thinks the monster Siwoo fought can't even compare to a minor monster. And she is disappointed because Siwoo was struggling against a monster that can't even compare to a minor monster. Siwoo then asks them if they are finished with the test, can they please let him go back home? Gramps tells him that he had already made his judgment when Siwoo was still half asleep. Other monsters were surprised that Siwoo actually defeated that giant monster, and they are also amazed to see the goblin Siren. Grandpa Bogeyman had passed his judgment that he declared Choi Siwoo not a human but a monster, in front of hundreds of monsters that has gathered there, and he had also spread the news about what happened there throughout Busan. Throughout the Korean peninsula, Gramps informs him now that he has become a monster, his name will be added to the register of names, and no one will be able to capture or harm him unless they have the valid reason to do so. And Siwoo is like, yes, that's good, but I must go back home. The white-haired lady scolds him for not listening to the old Gramps properly, now that he has become a monster, unless he can gain recognition for his ability to completely conceal his identity among humans. A monster who hasn't reached 500 years of age can't venture into the human realm. Siwoo is surprised with this new information. He informs them that he is not someone who causes trouble. He has never hit anyone, and he lived peacefully. And why is there a restriction for going back to his own home? Old man tells him that he can't go back to Earth, and if he can't understand that, old Gramps can't do anything but to kill him. Gramps releases a strong killing intent. Siwoo jumps back. Gramps then informs him that the king of the monster is chosen once every 666 years. The 500 years restriction was a law enacted by the current crown king 666 years ago. Before that, all monsters were free to enter and exit the human realm. Humans were scared of them, and after the end of the festival, 666 years ago, the newly crowned king, for some reason, didn't like that fact of monsters running wild in the human realm. He then wrote down a new law with the blood of the monster that he killed. Because of that restriction, monsters are prohibited from harming humans, and even revealing themselves or approaching them. Because of this, humans are no longer scared of them. Rather, they are oblivious to the monster's existence. They simply think of monsters as whimsical and fictional creatures from stories. But that won't last long. In half a year, the current king's 666-year reign will come to an end, and the law he established will be rewritten as well. On that day when the sun sets, all the monsters will enter the human realm, and will awaken the forgotten fear and reverence within humanity. Siwoo is shocked to hear that information. And during these 6 months, Siwoo can either wait for it to pass or learn how to harness his power to leave quickly. Siwoo asks Gramps how can he learn to harness his power, because he can't stop the monster from going to the human realm. And once monsters appear in the human realm, the world will be in chaos. He can't protect all the human beings, but he can protect the one who are dear to him. By harnessing his power, Gramps informs him that the goblin blood coursing through him is extremely powerful, though it can't be compared to a pure blood goblin. But if he manages to learn how to properly utilize even half of his powers, there'll be no monster who'd dare to harm his precious loved ones. And if he manages to win at the festival and become the king of the monsters, he can reenact that law once again. But white-haired lady thinks that's impossible for Siwoo. He has no chance of surviving in the festival. Gramps then introduces her to Siwoo. Her name is Sealwa. Just like Siwoo, she is also going to participate in the festival on behalf of her own people. Gramps also informs Siwoo that Sealwa also wants to enter the human realm, and for that she is having a test. But she thinks she doesn't need a test like this for her to enter the human realm. Gramps gives her a test, and the test is to teach Choi Siwoo the basic of being a monster, including transformation magic. and the time limit he gives her is until the end of the month. And if they made a certain amount of progress after a month, Gramps will judge the two of them as qualified to venture into humans' realm. She disagrees with Gramps, and she doesn't know what she is supposed to teach someone like him in just a month. Gramps tells her if she thinks like that, then she just have to wait for 6 months to enter the human realm. Gramps then gets ready to leave, saying whether you give up here or decide to teach him, it's entirely up to you. Then he leaves with his cloth. Gramps leave her no choice. She gets ready to teach him and asks if he knows about monster force. He doesn't know what is it. Then suddenly a monster appears behind her, saying, "Little fox, that little one is mine." She gets disgusted by that monster. The monster attacks her. Unlike human beings, monsters have classes, like the lower class and the higher class. The pure blood goblins were the highest class, but after the pure blood goblin disappeared, the only bloodline that deserves to be referred to as highest class were the Nine-Tails Fox, and Xiaowa is one of those. She binds the monster with her magic. Seeing her using a magic, Siwu gets shocked, but he has to accept the fact that he is going to adapt and live in this new world of monsters. Xiaowa then gives him some teaching about the magic, and there are two types of magic, unique and acquired magic. Unique ability is like his Goblin Siren, a race-specific ability that his bloodline remembers. But in case of acquired, it's different. Any monster can use it as long as they learn it. And that's why learning and training is important for that. She gets ready to teach him, but it will be very difficult for him to learn since he just awakened a few minutes ago, and he might really lose his life if he disappoints her. Our boy Siwu made up his mind that he is going to learn this so-called magic of these monsters. She gets ready to train him, but before that, she tells him to have his meal first. Siwu is confused about what does she mean by meal. She informs him that to perform a magic, it consumes a lot of energies. Normally, the energy accumulates naturally just by breathing in the air of the monster world and eating food and water. But he just arrived today in this monster world, and the energy he accumulated from his normal diet of the human world doesn't have that much energy, so the power he has had since birth is probably all he has. And she is sure he is hungry right now after his fight with that giant monster. But Siwu thinks he is fine. He is not hungry, then suddenly he starts to feel pain and intense hunger. Well, that move of his earlier have exhausted him. A typical depletion of force. But the solution to his problem is simple. She tells him to eat the giant monster in front of him. And it's the same monster he fought earlier, and according to rules, winner has the right of life and death of the loser. She tells him to eat the monster and consume its energy. That's the most effective and simple way to get the force. And with his size, Siwu will have a good meal for him. At this point, Siwu moved forward with instinct, not reason. For the first time in his life, he felt a demonic hunger coursing through him. The desire was fueled by the whispering of the nine-tailed fox, and the only thing in his head was just an instinct to prey. However, if there is something that Xiaowa has not thought of before, it is that the greedy goblin's nature. The goblin's nature that will try to capture a prey that is much more nutritious and delicious. And that is Xiaowa. Siwu jumps at her to eat the delicious meat of hers. She didn't expected something like this to happen. She uses her chain magic. The magic chains binds him, but he breaks them into pieces. She gets shocked that he broke off her chain. Siwu jumps at her again. She dodges him. She then pulls out one of her nails. Then with the bloods, she summons a Bless's great demon king. A big red hand appears from out of nowhere and crushed Siwu. The attack from the red hand caused a big wave energy. Even the monster that was standing behind with chain get his chain broken with the energy of that attack. The attack pulverized half of the mountain. And there is he, still standing. Xiaowa thinks he died from that attack, but she can't help it. He is the one who attacked her. But then, she gets shocked to see the boy who was just awakened, has awakened something else again. He was standing right there without even a scratch on his body, and a horn on one side of his forehead. Even among the powerful goblins, only a few could be chosen to be enlightened for their unique magic. In spite of its scarcity, with overwhelming power, he showed the ability to become a symbol of the goblin race. He breaks the horn. The horn changes into a black energy which form a shape of a sword. Xiaowa was an extraordinary yokai or monster. She was a genius who grew her 9 tails in less than 100 years. A talent that Korin Yokai Peninsula had after 1,000 years. That's why she could feel it clearly, the danger of facing the creature in front of her. Siwu gets ready to attack her with his another powerful attack. She also takes out her another tail. Siwu attacks her, but the attack gets blocked by the red hand. The red hand then pulls him up and slams him on the ground. But he is not done yet. He pulls his black energy. Xiaowa gets shocked to see the red hand having trouble holding that black energy or Siwu's horn weapon. Siwu pulls his energy from the clutch of that red hand and transform it into different type of weapon. Xiaowa noticed something: if she goes easy on that guy, he will trample her without a doubt. So she takes out another hand and gets ready to get serious now. She attacks him with her big red hands. Siwu blocks all of her attacks with his black energy weapon. Xiaowa gets more surprised that he is enduring her attacks. A newly awakened half-being is already at this level. but his monster force has reached its limit. She is relieved now. If he continues like this, eventually his body will break down. But he is not done yet. He attacks her again. She also takes out her 5 tails this time. And it's been a long time since she last went all out against an opponent in a real battle. This time she summons the whole body of that red hand. Siwoo jumps at them. The big guy swings his spear, then a white light appears in front of Siwoo. That means the fight is over. The attack was too devastating, and finally Siwoo is down. But it's the end for him now. He has used up too much of his yokai force. Only death awaits him now. He foolishly fought until his body collapsed without understanding the situation. And now he is going to die, and she will get severe scolding from Gramps that Siwoo died because of her. Then she notices he still has some energy in him. And poor guy seems to be crying. She changes her mind and pulls him with her magic, and then gives him a kiss. She used her 9-tailed fox energy to give him some yokai force, then throws him away. But for her that was not just a kiss but an investment she made on him. And if he is not worth the investment she has made, she won't let him off easily. Next, he wakes up and finds himself in a nice bed. Seolwa comes in with something in a cup. She looks at him with dead eyes. He looks at her with a nice smile and pitiful eyes. He then apologizes to Seolwa for attacking her like that. He remembered everything what he did. He doesn't know how is it possible, but he was fully conscious. But he couldn't control his body. She tells him to drink the thing in the bowl before having the meal. He thanks her and gets ready to drink, thinking it must be some kind of herbal medicine. After drinking it, he couldn't swallow it. She tells him that she will kill him the moment he spits that out. She then informs him that he lost something pretty big. The yokai he fought before managed to escape while they were fighting. If Siwoo had eaten it, it would have been a perfect remedy for a half-breed like Siwoo. Now Siwoo have to eat this monster to become stronger. If he doesn't become stronger, then in a few months the people he knows will suffer a terrible fate. He gets ready to kill and devour them. He then asks her if he will get another opportunity like this to devour them. She then gives him info about how he can devour them. The only possible way is that both parties have to agree to a duel. But now for him, there won't be any easy prey coming his way. Even if he is a half-breed, countless monsters have witnessed his power, and by now, his reputation must have spread far and wide. Those who can be easily devoured won't come to him. Only the big and stronger one will come for him. She then tells him to come out. She has brought a gift for him. He gets shocked to see the gift. It's a monster, and she has caught it for him. Siwoo is confused if that thing is a yokai or a supernatural thing. She informs him that thing has lost its rights as a yokai. There are some yokai who lost their reason and succumbed to their instincts, just like Siwoo a few moments ago. They brand this types of yokai not as yokai but beasts. She then flies to the rooftop, but before flying to the rooftop, she had released the beast. The beast attacks him. He dodges the attack. After her fight with Siwoo and the fight he is currently fighting, Seolwa had noticed that Siwoo is actually quite skilled at fighting. And this beast that she brought to fight him was originally from the Fire Beast tribe and had quite a reputation. However, with the ambition to represent the tribe, they committed the sin of kidnapping and devouring monsters without permission. Unable to handle the power beyond their capacity, they went insane. Despite losing their sanity, their basic physical abilities were superior to others. Siwoo takes his boxing stand. Seolwa gets surprised to see that. He gives a strong right hook on that beast's jaw. You see, Siwoo is not some weak-ass fat MC who used to get bullied in his school. He is different. He learned boxing to lose his fat, his body weight. The instructor was so impressed by his progress. He asks Siwoo if he likes to pursue boxing as his career, but he was learning boxing just to lose his weight. The instructor told him to just do it for 6 months. If he is serious, the instructor gets ready to handle the diet and training plan for him. But even after learning boxing, he didn't lose his weight. Despite his consistent efforts, he had never seen the results. But still he never gave up. He had practiced 16 different sports. Among them, there were a total of 7 combat sports. He was born with an exceptional athletic sense and the spirit of Goblin. His inherent athletic talent allowed him to absorb all 7 combat sports techniques. And right now he is showing them all. He finishes the beast with his kick. Seolwa is shocked to see the sight. The beast is down, and Siwoo is confused. How should he eat this thing now? Seolwa is surprised to see the martial arts Siwoo just used. But it's a technique created by humans, so it isn't made to match a monster's body and strength. That's what she thought. Now that he has killed that beast, he asks Seolwa how is he going to eat it now. She tells him to eat it. First he has to make sure he definitely won the fight. The beast wakes up and bites Siwoo's shoulder, and it bites a chunk of meat from his shoulder. The beast hits him again, sending him flying far away. Siwoo is in panic state, and why won't he be? He just lost a chunk of meat from his body. But then the wound regenerates itself. The monster attacks him again. The attack hit him on his chest, then it heals again. Humans and monsters are 2 different species, and the biggest difference among them is the monster's body durability and recuperative ability. Siwoo charges with full force now that he has known that he is not going to die as long as the injuries are not fatal, and the little injuries will heal itself the moment he accepted it as a common sense. The restriction on his body from his unconscious self to protect itself is lifted. The punch sent the monster flying far away, and I mean very far away. His blows has gotten several times stronger, he can feel it. But he is not the only one with the ability to regenerate here. The monster also have that ability too. He didn't lower his guard thinking that monster might get up again. Xiaowa informs him that the monster is done for now. The blow he landed earlier were struck in well, the location, as well as the force. It won't die, but it won't be able to recover immediately. She then asks him how did it felt to use a magic. He is confused, like when did he even use the magic. She informs him that magic can be used in various ways. His body rapidly regenerated due to the fact he had used magic, and even his last fist he swung was the result of the magic used in addition to his physical ability. And he also felt something similar to static electricity when he swung his fist earlier. She tells him that was the magic, and he doesn't have much experience so he can't feel it now. And she made him fight that monster was also for his experience. She then tells him to finish that monster off, and asks if he had killed anyone until now. Nope. He hasn't. He was a norm high school kid just recently. She then gives him an info about how to kill that monster, and if he ends it in one go is best for both himself and the monster. She then tells him to struck above the belly button. It's the place where majority of the humanoid monsters' pressure point is, as well as the internal cinnabar that monsters store their magic. Everything is hard for the first time, but he has to do it. He kills the monster with one punch. She then tells him to grab something that is inside that monster's belly, and it's the internal cinnabar she spoke earlier, an item also called the magic need. If he swallows it, the owner's magic will become his. He eats the ball, but nothing is happening to him. A bird comes and sits on his shoulder, saying originally there should be something like bam, bam, boom. As soon as he swallows it though, Siwoo freaks out after seeing a talking bird. The bird turns into a girl. Her name is Salmai, and she is a childhood friend of Xiaowa, and she works as a part-timer for Grandpa Bogeman, and she is there to reward them for catching that monster. Since Grandpa couldn't come, so she came in his place. Xiaowa tells him to give the reward to Siwoo. He is the one who knocked that monster alone, and she thinks he is more than qualified. Salmai was also thinking to give the reward to Siwoo because she was watching the fight from the start, and she thinks he is incredibly impressive, to the point that she can't believe that he was a human up until recently. And she also thinks that Siwoo can become Xiaowa's leading competitor in the festival. But Xiaowa doesn't think that Siwoo has the thing to be her competitor. But Salmai is sure that Siwoo have enough potential. She then gives him the reward. The reward is, he has two choices. One to go home right this instant, and the second one is to take a step forward as a strong monster. Now which one he is going to choose? Next we see Choi, Siwoo's friend, and he is talking with Siwoo, and is worried that Siwoo didn't come to school today. Siwoo called him because he wants a favor from Yu Shin, his friend. After hearing that favor, Yu Shin shouts at him. He told Yu Shin that he is going to train a traditional martial arts, and will be going for a month. And Siwoo wants Yu Shin to tell Siwoo's mother that he is going to train for a month, and he has his reason for that. Since Siwoo has made up his mind, Yu Shin agrees with him. Before hanging the phone, Yu Shin asks Siwoo about the reason, and as a friend Yu Shin will try his best to believe him. But someone is telling Siwoo not to tell about the reason. It will be the violation of the rules. Yu Shin then tells him if anything happened just call him. They hang up the call. Next, Siwoo was surprised to hear that he can go back home this instant, because from what he heard one must achieve the qualification to go to the human realm. She gets ready to take him if he wants, but he has made up his mind that he is going to train and become a stronger monster, and he doesn't think the bounty of hunting such monsters is this high that he can go out in the human realm. So he chooses the second option. Xiaowa informs him that Salmai likes to pull a prank like this all the time. There wasn't any reward like option 1 to begin with. Salmai has a bad habit of always throwing ridiculous multiple choice questions and watch people's reaction. Salmai informs them that these tests are to understand the personality and the way of thinking on someone you've just met. And she also gave these types of books to understand human emotions to Xiaowa. But it was so boring, Xiaowa couldn't even get through a few pages. Salmai gets ready to take Siwoo out for a stroll. Siwoo is confused, thinking what does she mean by that. Salmai then transforms into a big bird, and she is a yakai qualified to roam the human world, and once every 6 months, for a day, under the condition of taking responsibility for all occurrence. She can take unqualified yakai with her to the human realm. And why it looks like Xiaowa doesn't know about this fact. She takes Siwoo on her back, oh wait, not on her back but with her leg, and flies from there to the human realm. And that's how they were here in human realm. And she suggests him to see his family's face once before leaving. Well, he only have his mother and she also just went on a business trip to the countryside yesterday. He then asks her if she wants to eat anything. He will treat her for the dinner. She stands up saying there's something I want to try, and that is homemade meals. She always wanted to have a homemade meals since all she has been having are cafeteria and takeout food. Siwoo gets confused about what she is talking. She informs him that she is attending school there, Hojiang High School. Siwoo gets surprised because that school is just next to his school. After finished eating, she takes out something, a magic scroll, and it works like an item box. She can put things inside it. She takes out a box from it. It's his main reward. After opening it, there are some things in it. The middle one is a talisman that he'll use in future, and the coins are the ghost face money of the Yakai world. And he has received 40 nyang. It's quite a substantial amount. And the other item is a ghost treasure. These are the items that harness spiritual power and can exhibit various abilities. And the bounty of catching a rouge yokai is only paid in cash. But Grandpa also gave him these 2 items extra. She thinks Grandpa has expectations for Siwoo, and Siwoo is sure that those expectations are for him to be the king of yakais. She also gives him a little info about the king of yakais, and if a yakai from the Korean peninsula becomes a yakai king, it will be an incredibly proud moment for them. Because the last time when the festival happened, a yakai from the Korean peninsula almost became a yakai king. He made it to the very end. And he was also a goblin just like Siwoo. Not only back then but throughout the history of Korean yakais, goblin were considered formidable foes. Even though Siwoo heard all of these things, he can't help but wonder what all of this means. It's like a dream for him this past couple days. And if it's all a dream, he hopes to wake up soon. Salmai thinks he has the potential and tells him to have higher goals. And if he is worried about humans who are going to face a biggest threat in 6 months, he can just become the king and maintain the current rulership for the next 666 years. Siwoo then asks her if he can ask her some question, and she is happy to answer him. He asks her if the scroll next to her is the yakai summoning scroll. She looks at it and there a message saying urgent. She gives him an info about this urgent summoning order. When major emergency occurs, it calls nearby yakai for assistance. And the only times a summoning order is issued in the human realm is when a yakai violates the rules and harms humans. Then she realizes something, and is like WTF why the urgent summoning order issued. Some yakais might be running wild in the human realm. Next we see Siwoo trying his new items, figuring out how it works. He also put on the leather item which now looks like an armor after putting it on. He checks the time and it's 9:56 p.m. And Salmi, she went alone to see the situation, leaving him there alone. She told him that she will be back at 10 p.m. and return to the monster world. And now they are friends. She told him to just call her Salmi. Now it's past 11 and he didn't get her number either. He is worried, thinking if something happened to Salmi. He checks his father's picture, thinking that a goblin's blood flows within him. He probably inherited from his father. And Gramps also informed him that even if he has the goblin's blood, it's merely a slight mixture. Siwoo wonders if his father knew that he was born with yakai's blood. He gets ready to go and check on Salmi. Next, a monster which looks like venom is grabbing a human by his neck. It was about to finish the human, but gets an attack that pierces through it. And it's Salmi. The thing that she attacked that monster with was her feather. The monster gets scared after seeing her, and she is surprised that monster is hesitating because according her, these monsters doesn't feel pain. The monster then escaped from there. She couldn't stop it. She then helps the human's friend with her ointment to stop his bleeding, and has also called ambulance. The monster appears again. The monster tries to sneak attack her, but it gets slashed by someone. A guy comes saying keep your mind focused and stay vigilant. If she falls victim to such thing, her entire clan won't be able to hold their heads up high. Salmi calls him Appa, and she doesn't think that her family has a good reputation to begin with. The guy didn't like her calling him Appa, and his name is Goyu. Anyways, he doesn't mind whatever she calls him. He starts to erase the memories of those human, hypnotize them to forget about what happened there today. Salmi is surprised that he is using hypnosis, which is not his family's inherent ability. And she heard that learning a different magic apart from their family's magic is really tough. She too tried to learn from Sialwa, but she just got scolded and gave up. And learning something like that means one have to be a front runner, which we don't know what it means. He asks her how many of those monsters she caught. She has caught total of 24, including the one he just caught for her. And these monsters she caught, they are not a proper yakai. These monsters are called shutterwalks, and they were all on leashes, which means someone else was controlling them. And from what she saw, these monsters had killed 7 and injured over 50. She is confused. Why are they attacking like this? Aren't they aware of the rules and its consequences? What sort of amusement are they getting from such carnage? Goyu tells her that it's not about amusement, but for gain. He informs her that killing and eating humans' flesh increases their strength, which Salmi was unaware of. Consuming human blood and flesh is an incredibly potent health food to the monsters. She is surprised that she had never heard of such thing. Goyu informs her that it was a widely known fact long ago, something that wasn't passed on to their generation, the new generation. Because if the truth is out that one can become stronger just by eating human, the human world won't be as quiet as it is now. And he thinks she knows that well because she is someone that has taken the qualification test. The test that even over 500 years old monsters would struggle to take. And now that they are near the festival, everyone is trying to become stronger, even though it's just a little bit. And there are monsters who are aware of regarding humans and are willing to take the risk. And he thinks she should know as well, since she helps Grandpa Bogeyman, that in recent days, there have been many that have destroyed themselves by going too far trying to get power. But even Goyu is feeling something off about this monster's attack, because if it was him, he would never created this sort of mess. Rather than attracting attention by using these evil spirit, he would have done it himself swiftly without causing this much of mess. He thinks there must be some other motive behind this attack, which makes Salmi think that they're after Siwoo, and this attacks were just distraction. She leaves from there asking her Appa to clean up the mess there. Next, Siwoo notices something, and he is still in his home right now. Someone appears from behind him, trying to attack him. And that guy didn't expect Siwoo to be this defenseless. If he had known this, he wouldn't have gone out of his way to put in that much effort. He attacks Siwoo, but Siwoo dodges his attack. Siwoo then grabs his hand, uses his Goblin-esque serum, throws him outside of his house. It's one of the Goblins' character that they rarely get beaten twice with similar tactics, and Siwoo is confused about what just happened. At that time when Siwoo was attacked by that wolf monster, he felt a cold chill right before that monster attacked him, and if he hadn't recognized that same feeling today, he would have been killed for sure. Anyways, now he is worried because he tossed that monster without thinking. Now he is hoping that no one got caught up in it. His throw made a big hole, but the monster was not there. He comes from behind and wraps Siwoo with his tail. He informs Siwoo that he put all the humans nearby to sleep, so they will not go screaming at once. And he is there for the rumored goblin. He starts to swing Siwoo with his tail and toss him away. Siwoo breaks 2 walls. Even the second wall almost broke down. The monster tells him not to worry about damage. Human will probably think it's due to poor construction or a gas pipe explosion. What is this monster? Is he a snake? But Siwoo understood that this is the monster that harmed the people and the reason behind why Salmi haven't returned. Siwoo understands that this man standing in front of him is dangerous. He is facing an absurd danger. The snake gives him a chance to be eaten by him without uttering a word. He will give him a painless death. Siwoo and him has quite the class difference as monsters. If Siwoo struggle, it will be more painful. And if he surrenders and let him eat Siwoo, he promises that he will let his mother off the hook and devour the others. Now the snake has done it. Siwoo charges towards him with his big fist. He punches the snake, grabs him by his waist, then suddenly Siwoo felt something. His body is numb like he has been paralyzed. It's the snake unique magic, murderous sacrilege. His unique magic's poison. To use that magic of his, he has to touch his opponent. But he thinks that this ability of his is shitty ability, because he can't use it against those who are stronger than him. And it barely worked on Siwoo too. He heard that those who born with good bloodlines, they are able to pin down other monster with just a stare. He didn't think Siwoo to be this weak, and Siwoo is struggling to muster any strength in his body, like he is experiencing sleep paralysis. Seeing that tool of thing on Siwoo's hand, Snake gets mad that Siwoo is being treated differently than other monsters. He gets ready to swallow Siwoo. Siwoo somehow manages to muster some strength on his hand, and shoots some kind of energy from his hand. His attack made a hole on the ceiling, but the snake had dodged his attack. But he is surprised because that attack could have killed him. He hits Siwoo with his tail, sending him flying and crushing onto another wall. Snake is surprised even after that poison, Siwoo still managed to use such an attack. But then the snake realized something. He's been stabbed by a sword. Not only one but 2 swords at that. A guy with a mask comes chanting some spell. The sword creates lightning that deal a great damage to that monster. Snake is confused. How did that guy catch a wind and get there already? And beside that masked guy is on a whole different level than the other shamans he met. He gets ready to leave. If he drag things any longer he will be in danger. And if the crow girl and that guy joins in, he will be death for sure. Snake then summons his venom again. He informs them that this guy is someone who spread his name far and wide. Though Snake doesn't know how that venom ended up in that state. He informs them that monster was a deity class monster by nature. The monster venom gets ready to attack the shaman. The shaman is also not backing down. He is charging forward. Shaman slashes that monster attack with his sword slash, splitting the monster in half. Snake is shocked to see that, but that was not the end. The shaman also stabs him right on his head. Now that he had taken care of that snake, he notices Siwoo, who doesn't look like in the same team as that monster. He asks Siwoo to answer his question nicely if he wants to survive. And Siwoo is surprised to hear that voice under the mask. He asks the shaman if he can recognize his voice. The shaman is Siwoo's friend Yushin. and Yushin is shocked that that guy is Siwoo, the fat friend of his. Yushin asks him what happened, forget about his body. How did he deal with that monster? He then notices the poison, and even with his emergency medicine he has now, he can't heal Siwoo. He asks Siwoo to take a breath and wait for a moment, he will help him with that poison. Then he notices the poison effect is wearing off. It shocked him to see that Siwoo is healing himself. He then notices the monster have ran away. Oh wait, he is running away right now. Next, Siwoo informs him everything. Yushin is shocked that the friend he knew for 3 years, he turned out to be a supernatural hybrid. The news shocked to the point, now he is in depression. Siwoo asks him what kind of training center is his house. Yushin never told him about that. Yushin tells him that his family duty is to train and eradicate supernatural creatures. And Yushin also knows about the 6-month festival of monsters, which shocked Siwoo if this 6-month thing is some kind of common thing to the human realm too. It wasn't common thing, and if the monster were just fighting among themselves, the shamans wouldn't mind. But in last 300 years, the supernatural entities started to attack human. Then recently, the yokai who wants to become the king started to devour humans to strengthen themselves. And a month ago the number of missing people started rising, particularly in densely populated cities. In most cases, there were signs of bloodshed or destruction left behind at the homes of the missing people. But this is the first time yokai have revealed themselves directly. Yushin then notices something. Something falls in front of them. It was not something but Salmi. She apologizes to Siwoo. As his guardian she failed to protect him, and fell for such an easy trap. Yushin puts his sword at her and warns her if she comes any close, he will cut her down. Siwoo tries to tell him that person is. Yushin also noticed that that person is not human, and it's because of Siwoo he didn't strike her and just warned her. He tells Siwoo even if these monsters looks like human, but their true nature remain the same, a monster that devours humans. And no matter how mixed Siwoo's blood is, Yushin still considered him a human. And there is no need for him to get the monster's permission to be in the human realm. He was kidnapped forcefully and become a monster who needs permission to stay in his own home. Yushin thinks that's all nonsense, and he is not going to let Siwoo go to the monster's world, no matter what. Salmi also thinks what Yushin said makes sense, but now Siwoo has been registered as a monster. Regardless of his stance, Siwoo is a resident of the monster's world. And if Siwoo breaks that rules, he will face the consequence, not only he but his shaman friend too. She gets ready to escape with Siwoo, doing her best not to hurt each other. But she is scared because the shaman is too powerful for her to handle alone. Even so, she gets ready to take Siwoo away. And Yushin is also ready to cut her down if she is going to ignore his warning. Siwoo kicks him lightly, pushing him back. Siwoo then grabs his sword and asks if the engraving on the sword have some sort of meaning. And Yushin is confused if Siwoo is being controlled or hypnotized. But that vibe around Siwoo is totally different. Siwoo informs Yushin that he killed a yokai and devour it. But that yokai was someone whose rights have been stripped away. He killed someone who was alive to protect himself and those around him. And from now on, he planned to continue like that. He has no intention of harming people or causing harm. But he has agreed to devour non-essential yokai if it makes him stronger, even if it means death. But Yushin doesn't want him to go that far. And with their powers, him, Siwoo and Siwoo's mother, in 6 months they can be safe enough in this world. Siwoo puts the sword and tells Yushin that he got one more thing to tell him, and that he is going to be the yokai king, which shocked Yushin. Not only Yushin, Salmi is shocked too. Yushin yells at him if he even knows what he is blabbering, and what yokai king means, while Siwoo doesn't know in detail too. But all he knows is that he has to give it a shot, since he has a chance for it. He wants to give it a try, no he wants to do it. Hearing to him, Yushin agrees with him, but when the times comes when he, as a supernatural being, crossed the line, Yushin will kill him without hesitation. Siwoo also agrees with him on that. Yushin asks Salmi for her name, in which she replies her name is Salmi, and she holds the position of a promising messenger in the half-yokai court. Yushin apologizes to her for interfering in the matters among yokai, and he also have heard about the laws and rules of yokai. He tells her that if they unfairly killed or injured Siwoo in any ways, with the position of the Star Hall's chief shaman, he will eliminate any supernatural entities in the human realm. He then leaves saying not to worry to Siwoo, he will take care of his mother's affairs. Next, Salmi falls on her knees. It was her first time encountering shaman, and this was very intimidating. Goyu comes saying that guy seems like an exceptional case even among shamans, and Goyu didn't think Salmi to be this stupid to rush in without knowing how strong was her opponent. He tells her to be careful, because even if her opponent was just a bit stronger, she would have been devoured without a chance. Then we are told that among yokai, those rooted in animals are called beast demons. In most cases, they are bound by the form and instincts of animals, and that can be considered ancestors. As their status as yokai rises, not only their human disguise but also their true form deviates from their origin. Such yokai or clan are referred to as phantom beasts. And beyond that, there are those who transcend their own origins. In the past, they were called divine beasts, being who were worshipped by both humans and yokai. Goyu introduces himself to Siwoo, and if Siwoo wants to be the king, he will have to defeat Goyu, the representative of the Goyu Black Tortoise clan. Siwoo was about to shake his hand. Salmi shouts, "Don't hold his hand." She tells Goyu that Siwoo had a tough day. What is he trying to do with him? Goyu holds his hand and he just simply wants to see the potential of a half-goblin who bragged so confidently about becoming the yokai king. Goyu uses his martial arts mastery by biting his finger. A magic circle appears around them, and it's not just some magic circle. It's a teleportation technique. Before Salmi could do anything, the two get teleported to somewhere far away near a lake. Goyu is surprised that Siwoo is still standing on his 2 feet, because not many can stand on 2 legs like Siwoo after experiencing his teleportation technique for the first time. Goyu then asks him, "Do you play games?" He did poly some games when he was in middle school, but after entering the high school, he didn't play games that much. Goyu asks him what genre he enjoyed back then. Siwoo tells him action RPG, and he is not really into online games, because they feels like spending is more important than skill these days. Goyu agrees with him that that's a valid point. Then suddenly an attack comes at Siwoo, but he manages to dodge it. Then some ice appears from the lake. Goyu attacks Siwoo with all those ice. Goyu is surprised that Siwoo managed to dodge that too. Not only that, he realizes that Siwoo is preparing to attack him. When it comes to combat, Siwoo's senses and talents are truly top-notch. But in this moment, shining brighter than anything else is his capacity for learning. He has learned many things today. He attacks Goyu with the attack he attacked at the snake. He has learned that his armor, the ear cuff that releases the wearer's energy and strength, and one more lesson: even if it seems like the attack landed, never let your guard down and finish it decisively. He attacks with another small attacks, and now he has grasped something about his magic power or the life force. A vivid electric charge running through his entire body, and the starting point is his lower abdomen. Now he can feel how much of magic power he has in his body, and right now there is more than half left, around 60%. The big attack he released consume about 10%, and the other small attacks consume about 3%. And if the energy drops to 0%, he will end up in the depletion state like last time, considering that he can't keep using his energy indefinitely. Goyu is surprised that Siwoo managed to make him use his icicle so soon. His ice shield. Siwoo asks him if he wants to devour him, but he is not sensing any piercing or threatening coming from Goyu. Goyu tells him that he just wants to teach him a lesson for saying that he will become the next pirate king. Oh, I mean next Yokai king. He asks Siwoo what exactly is yokai king. Siwoo knows what it means. It's mean the king of monsters, making laws and governing other yokai. Goyu then gives him a little info about how the yokai king come to exist. Before yokai king, the yokais were running wild, devouring each others and humans. To prevent that, the yokai king come into existence, a being that commands the obedience of all yokai in this world, in exchange for harmonizing their survival. For over millennium, the successive yokai king have managed the yokai of their eras without major disruptions. There might have been difference in policies, but the fundamental principle of yokai survival and benefit remain the same, except for the one, the yokai king of this generation. Goyu tells him to imagine if the human leaders suddenly enacted a law that no one in the world should ever eat meat, no matter what happens. What kind of chaos would that cause? Siwoo tells him that everyone will definitely protest vehemently. It might not end with just simple protest or riots either. Goyu informs him that the yokai held such law for 666 years. This shows how important is the yokai king to them. But now even that patience seems to have run out. Siwoo understood that if the next yokai king enforced the same law, not everyone will obediently follow it like before. Goyu is surprised that he is quick to understand. And that's why even if the yokai king commands, not all yokai will listen to his command this time. Even if the yokai king is ultimately the strongest yokai. If the vast majority of yokais in the world resist, it can't be stopped. And if that happens, it won't just be the new yokai king that crumbles, but an existence that has been upheld for many years as the yokai king. Its authority and symbol will literally falls to the ground. And Siwoo wants to become the next yokai king to maintain the current state. The young yokis might only mock and move on, but the older ones will tear him apart. And Goyu understood where Siwoo got the idea to maintain the current state. But Siwoo is clueless how the world of the yokai works. Goyu asks him to come under his command and help him become the next yokai king. he will let Siwoo to rule the Korean peninsula. And even if Siwoo becomes the Yokai king, he won't be able to save every humans. But Goyu can spare a few those are close to him. Siwoo asks Goyu if he is strong and confident enough to become a Yokai king. He doesn't know if he is the strongest among the Korean peninsula, but among the representatives outside, there is no Yokai stronger than him, and there is also an age limit. Siwoo agrees with him if he can protect the people around him. They shake hand to close the deal, but that wasn't the handshake to close the deal. While Siwoo is just giving him back what he did to him, pretending to shake hand, deceiving people and attacking them afterwards. Goyu will have the taste of his own medicine. Siwoo uses almost all of his magic energy, leaving only a single sip for him to maintain his sanity. He unleashes a technique for the first time, fueled by determination and consciousness. There is no hesitation in his motion, only determination and readiness exist. He slams Goyu with his full force. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, then please do like and stay tuned because next part is going to be a big kaboom.